Pukalala and his house, the Tongan High Commissioner, Her Royal Highness Princess Latukefu Tukuaho, the political leaders of this country, representatives of Pacific Island nations and communities here in Australia, our Tongan communities here and worldwide. Today, the 6th of November 2021, here from Canberra, the Australian national capital, and also from Queanbeyan, New South Wales, we welcome you to the Lo'au University Multimedia Program known as Women in Dialogue. I am Luseane Lafitani, and with me is the coordinator of this program, Latukefu, who, because of our COVID-19 restrictions, is coming through from Queanbeyan, New South Wales. For this morning, Louisa has decided to wind down and wrap up and continue the discussion on healthy ageing and to highlight especially the services available here for the aged care in Canberra, the Australian national capital. Today, this program is brought to you in the English language, but remember, in the very near future, we will live stream same program in our Tongan language. So without further ado, I will hand the reins over to Luisa Latukefu from Queanbeyan, New South Wales. Good afternoon, Luisa.
Good afternoon, Luseane. MALO apito lawat o ta whakawhiloaki pia ta hange ko mena ki lau ki ai whawhetai ko ta toia sia mai a koe ni ko hige mawhainga mai rie ke whakasi osi ai e ta pōta tala kau ki he United Nations sort of healthy aging.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So with this, Louisa, I know you're just wanting to recap. Thank you, Louisa.
Sorry. Ai ko wika kon ko si Luseane na tala no ai ke tupu anga ko no fokotu ko ai por kalama.
Louisa? Yes, the professor is reminding us that we're doing this one in English. We're doing this program in English.
Oh.
I know you want to speak Tongan, but we did that last week, so never mind. That's the way it is. We'll just. Would you like to do that? Would you like us to run in English and then recap again next program in Tongan?
No, it's fine. I think it's fine because the notes is in English. But
there you go.
I try and sort of translate it into Tongan when we go, on the way, sort of thing.
I know.
Thank you, Luseane. It's so nice to, be sort of doing this. I better not say Potatala Fafine, but Women in Dialogue, which is Potatala Fafine.
That's right.
And of course, just sort of just reminding them that this program was, we started this program even almost 20 years ago. And it was named by her Royal Highness, the Queen of Tonga at present. Thing. That's Potatala Aikolomua. But
right.
Potatala Afafine comes under that umbrella.
Yes.
Yeah, because we did do a lot of work to do with the youth as well, with the cultural dancing and all that sort of thing. So I think last week we sort of spoke about how that came along. The United Nations sort of decade of healthy aging, which is like 2021 to 2030, which is a global, sort of project that sort of comes down. From what I understand, Luciane, I think the West, there's about worldwide there's about six sorts of divisions or regions, that the whole world is sort of structured under. So Australia and like Tonga and the Pacific, we come under the Western Pacific region.
Yes.
And I think they're from what I read, their sort of uh, uh, aging sort of program used to be the active aging.
That's
It's sort
right.
of yeah, it's sort of ran out like about 2019. So
Mm,
they did
mm.
put a request in to the United Nations, you know, and the World Health Organizations. It's about like developing the strategies and doing all that again. So and of course we spoke about, you know, the healthy aging pro- process. And I think today, because we did cover all that sort of more broader, um, you know, looking at what they were looking at. And then today, I thought we'll just sort of localize it and sort of bring it down to, because a lot of the things that we talk about, I did sort of forewarn or alert our listeners, because we do have a global, you know, sort of audience,
Yes.
that most of the things that we will discuss uh, is usually us sharing our experiences and what we do here in the ACT, which is the
Yes.
national capital of Australia, because that's
Mm.
where we're broadcasting from. And also, the good thing about this is that people in who are listening, if we do have any people who are sort of watching or listening to us, Luciane, they can always apply it to their own like regional areas,
Mm,
you know,
mm, mm.
according to their like if Tongan people, because they all practice under that guideline, like
Mm.
Tonga. Actually, I think the Minister of Health, yeah, I'm sure, the Minister of Health in Tonga, the Honourable Amelia, uh, she is a member, you know, of the World Health Organization, that you know,
Yes. Yes.
yeah, the Western Pacific region,
Yes.
but they do sort of come under the bigger thing. So yeah, I think today we'll be just looking at Luciana, because the today I think we'll be looking at sort of trying to localize this and sort of coming down, because
Mm.
the Western Pacific region covers like from China and Mongolia, like in the north, New
Yes.
Zealand in the south, and the east, Pitcairn Island, I think, in the Pacific Ocean. So
Mm.
Pacific, like Tonga and all that, Australia, New Zealand, all those countries, they come under, you know, the Western Pacific region.
Okay. Okay. So
Yes,
so
yeah,
Louisa, with all that, and as you said, it'll be great if we can, bring it down to local, because that's where all our working, well, that's most of my working life locally here in Canberra, and I think that's a really good thing to highlight, because as you said,
mm,
with all your 40 odd years of work here in Canberra, or in Australia, most of that.
40 or
Yes,
50.
yeah. Most of that done here in Canberra. So you're well aware and you're well versed with all the services here. I think when I met you that many years ago, I think you were working at the Narrabundah Community Health, and also,
Health center.
yes, and also Jindalee, you did some stuff there at the Jindalee
Yeah,
Aged Care Home. Did you notice that
yeah.
Siwa brought
Was
up
that?
a photo of the old Jindalee there on the side? Can you see that?
Oh, yeah.
Uh,
Because Jindalee is that was the aged care section of the then back then used to be the Walden Valley Hospital, which was
ah,
set up in 1973.
wow.
And then
Goodness me.
Jindalee was the aged care, yeah, that came
Yes.
under the uh, the government anyway. That's
Oh,
the government, ACT Health,
yes,
Department of
yes,
Health in the AC in the yeah, national capital of Australia. So
yes, yes.
yeah, so
Wow.
I did sort of have a little stretch in that, and that was a real eye opener.
Yes.
Then,
Was that
yeah,
was
but
that your
talking of
first? Was it your first experience of going and working in an aged care facility, especially accommodation and a residential
It certainly was,
facility.
Luseane.
Mm,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's right.
So what were the
Yeah,
interesting
it
bits?
certainly was because I, oh, that was quite a challenge. Uh, because I'd been working in the other end of the lifespan in
Mm, mm,
maternity, with child
oh,
health and maternity, and it's about
mm,
like childbirth, all that sort of thing,
oh,
parenting and stuff. And I thought I wanted to go out and do a bit of general nursing,
mm,
not sort of specialized just on that child health, and youth and women's health. So that's why I asked if I could go to Jindalee
yes.
because I thought it was going to be an easy entrance into the medical, just the general nursing, Luciana. But it turned out it's a totally different sort of
Oh,
type nursing, and it's so
yes,
specialized,
yes,
very specialized that when I went back to study at the Canberra Uni, which was the Advanced College of Canberra at the time, yeah, that was the first year that they did gerontology.
oh,
That's
wow.
about yeah, in the on the tertiary education,
Because,
and I
yeah,
chose to do that. Yeah, I
because you
chose to do
certainly
that, and
were, you certainly were one of the pioneers of that here in Canberra, weren't you?
exactly. And at the time, remember they were sort of restructuring like all worldwide because it
Mm,
was to do with the resources at the time. IMF,
yes.
it was the funding worldwide.
Oh, goodness,
So
yes.
So in Canberra, back in this was in the 70s, Luciane. So that's
Mm.
how they did the decentralizing all their health
Oh, that's,
centers.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So yeah. And then with talking about the aged care, they used to run the programs for the aged care then. We set up all those programs at the aged care, which is a lot different to
Mm,
today, Luciane,
yes,
because like when we'll touch on the exercises and all that, it was in a group sort
yes,
of thing, and it was literally the government that was doing that. But I think if we go back to last week, I think the concern today about uh, the healthy aging
yes.
because of the demographic protection, like that World Health Organization has sort of put out.
Mm,
It's
mm,
almost like when you're looking. And when we talk about age or old age,
mm.
Luciane, or older, I think it's
Older.
called older age.
Yes.
Yeah, it's about from 65 years of age.
Wow.
Then you call them the older age.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And worldwide,
So that's what
they
they
said,
call us, the older aged.
yeah, it's not old, Luciane, it's just older. Isn't that a
Older.
nice thing?
Oh, I
Yeah.
like the sound of older.
Yeah. And of course the concern was the demographic protection was that like now there's almost 700 million, people in the world over 65 years old. So
Goodness.
that's a lot of older people, isn't it?
Mm,
And it's about when we're talking about the Western Pacific region, which includes us, Australia and Tonga, or that small as is Niue, it's about 240 million people, you know, over the from 65 in
yes.
that age group.
Louisa, I heard something a little bit interesting about someone talking about Tonga. And I thought to myself, maybe there's a lot more older aged people in Tonga now because so many of the younger people are coming over here to work as, fruit pickers, the seasonal workers that are coming overseas. So
Yeah,
that's what they're noticing in the Pacific, especially like Tonga, I guess Fiji, and Vanuatu. That because there's so many coming across now, because the borders are opening for those seasonal workers, the population of older people in the Pacific is a lot more than the younger people. So I'm not really surprised because I don't know how they deem the age group in the Pacific, whether it's 65 and over like we do here, or whether it's 60. I've got a feeling that it's 60 and over, in the Pacific. They're 5 years
Yeah.
younger, or yeah.
But that's exactly what's happening, Luciane.
Mm,
Yeah, because
mm.
they do say that, in 2 years, or by the time you get to 2000, 2050, it will double, that number
Mm,
by then.
mm,
And
mm,
of
yeah,
course, yeah, and even 75 years old people, they're living longer as well.
absolutely. Mm,
And there's less births. There's less
mm,
births, like the
okay,
young ones coming up, but there's more people. And
yeah,
that's the main concern, yeah. Because and also that's why they start to think about the um the healthy aging,
ew,
the healthy
yes,
aging sort of
yeah,
project because of because the World Health Organization claimed that an early action and investment in healthy aging can enable sustainable development as older population with better health and education,
absolutely, Louisa. I
yeah,
absolutely
can
believe that too.
lower, yeah, can
Yes,
lower the health cost. So it's about cost
yes,
again.
it's so true.
Yeah,
I think, even that statement there, Louisa, not only just a health cost, but even just human cost, because I
yeah,
think to myself, if I had, of course, we're always saying if only, if I had looked after myself a lot better, from 40s upwards, maybe I would have less health issues now that I'm this age, that I'm the old at this older age bracket now. And I think that statement by
mm,
WHO is true. It costs less for us as humans. It costs the governments less, of course, to look after us when we age. With the
exactly.
healthcare costs
Yeah,
rising. So,
yeah.
absolutely true, Louisa. Yes, I agree.
Because remember last week we covered like this is like looking out, for the older, for your older age, because it's
Mm-hmm.
like the first formative. They do claim that the first formative years of life,
Mm-hmm.
that's what sort of reflects on your lifestyle when you get to that older age.
Yes,
Do you
yes,
remember when
true.
we talked about that, Luciana? Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
So there,
Yes,
so
Louisa.
now, yeah.
I think I'm
So of
trying
course
really hard.
nowadays,
I'm trying really hard since you've started this program and started this conversation, Louisa, is to try and remember all those pointers that you brought up because I think, I mean, it is so important, and I'm hoping that our older people watching, who obviously a lot of them are a lot healthier than I am, is to if you're a lot healthier than I'm, good on you, and keep it up and do more of what Louisa is saying. And those of you who are as not as healthy like I am, it's time to wake up and smell the roses or whatever, smell the coffee. I think is to do
the
more.
roses.
Yes, is to do more. You just have to. You can't be complacent and say, oh, I know that Louise is saying all this, and WHO have got all these programs, and Australia have got all these programs, US, United States, and wherever. But I've got time, and I'm telling you what, time waits for no man. As they say, Louisa, listen to me. I'm preaching to myself, everyone, not to anyone else there.
No, but it's about you have experienced that here in the ACT
Yes.
with the health department because we
Oh, absolutely.
sometimes I claim I am part of history because when they talk about, about all those programs, I thought, oh yeah, I remember when they started doing that. But
Yes.
now it's about they focus on sort of providing more knowledge, and I
Mm,
think that's the important thing
mm,
that about this program that we did last week,
mm.
Luciane,
Yes.
and this week. is about keeping that aged population well informed
Oh,
because they're going
yes.
to live longer,
Yes.
and the knowledge and their problem solving capacity and economic value it's
Mm,
it's very valuable to our society
mm,
because
mm.
they do say no longer do we worry about like that popular part of the population, just that, but it's become a very big portion, of our population, isn't it?
Yes, Louisa. And I think especially here in Canberra, because I remember just a while ago, I think it was one of the Four Corners programs, they were talking about that Canberra has the rise in the aging community, they called it. There's the rise of numbers in the aging community here in Canberra was great in a way, and I thought it's good. The rise in numbers is because we're living longer, So, like, it was funny because one of them said, well, 80 is the new 60 and 70 is the new 50 and so forth. People are just so fit at that age. I was at my doctor the other day, Louisa,
Exactly.
with my sore finger, and this woman walked past me, and I know that she must have been most probably late 70s or early 80s. But oh my gosh, Lucy, she was
Mm.
so sprightly, and I looked at her and I thought, there you go, Lucy. You need to get yourself a little bit more fitter so that you can walk quicker. You're a little bit more sprightly as you walk or move around. So it's like I'm noticing
Yeah.
those things, Louisa, because it's your voice is echoing in my head about all this stuff that you've been talking about.
It's echoing in mine too. Lucy, that's why I keep sort of referring to you, and I said, wait a minute, she's going to come back with the feedback, whether I'm right or not. Yeah.
Oh, you
But of
are.
course, now when we're talking about the older population, Luciane,
Mm,
it used to be just the medical care for the aged,
mm, yeah.
but now, like, you can see that in Tonga, it's
Mm.
about the non-communicable diseases over there in Tonga.
Oh, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
that's causing all the
Abs-
concern, isn't it?
Absolutely. It is.
Yeah.
It is. And we know that, at an older age, you're more vulnerable. You're more
Mm-hmm.
vulnerable if you do get one of those, very serious communicable diseases, you become very, very ill because I remember you saying because your body's aging, so it's not as strong. Your little soldiers aren't as strong as what they were initially in
Mm-hmm.
when
Your
you're a young
immunity
person.
system,
Your
that's right.
immunity
Yeah.
is just not as strong. So we have to be mindful and remember, especially those communities you say in the Pacific or in Tonga. I do worry sometimes that, when you mention that, Louisa, I do worry about how they are being cared for over there.
There's something, are you hearing, sorry to
Absolutely,
interrupt,
you're clear. You're very clear, Louisa. You're very clear.
but
You just talk.
I don't know whether it's, yeah. No, I,
Yeah,
I think it might be
yeah. No, you're
that
fine.
headphone that's sort of
Yeah.
playing up.
What's
Yeah.
it? Yeah. Sometimes it
So,
echoes.
I,
If
I,
it's
I,
Is it echoing or is it just loud?
no, no, it's not echoing, Luciana. It's just you, you sort of come and go like the sound,
Hmm.
your
Yeah.
voice, and
Yeah.
then I don't hear the thing. So but I'm playing with the.
Yeah. I'm
Might be
sorry,
something to
Louisa,
do
but
with that.
you're coming loud and clear to the studio. There's
Oh,
there's not a problem with your sound coming through. And anyway, you've got so much to chat about. If you can't hear me, just keep chatting about the services here, because if anyone's a walking encyclopedia to do with health and services here in Canberra, that's you.
no, that's us, Luciana, because we both work. Remember, those, that's what I was getting to, Luciana,
Mm,
because it's about the speed and the depth of population aging has really got a very significant implications, at all levels of our society and our
Yes.
community, like
Mm,
all
mm,
sectors. Like it's
mm,
just not health, but it's
mm,
beyond health to welfare. See what I mean? It's just that both of us we're involved in all of that. It's about
mm,
welfare, it's about labor, it's about economy, the finance, and the law. See, all
mm.
those things are part of the growing aged population.
Absolutely,
Because
Louisa, because I remember having quite a bit of contact when we used to have, older women, come into our service and we had to look after them. There were great services we have in Canberra, like Atticus, for instance. That service, Louisa, was one of our go-to services. You just, if there was any questions we had about the aged care people, it was always Atticus, the Australian advocacy group
yeah,
for aged and disability.
yes,
But
that's
they are
right. Yeah,
fabulous, Louisa. I've just,
yeah,
as I said, they were always there, or the local health centre that you were involved with, and there were always nurses there to answer our questions, because when you're a support worker, and especially you get a person that's older age, a woman, you have to make sure that you give her the right support, and to point
yeah.
her in the right direction always. So you people in the health centre, and as I said, the advocacy services, their work is so important, Louisa. They're an important service for any community, you know.
But also, Luciana, it has become more specialized.
Yes.
Have you seen that? Because
Mm.
we started off being generalist practitioner,
Yes. Mm.
yeah, with
Mm.
ACT Health, Department
Mm.
of Health. And then
Mm.
it had to come to that stage, like with the age, because of the
Yes.
growing population. Yeah.
True.
And
Mm.
also, and I think that's the most important part about healthy aging. Um, because it's like I said, it's no longer just medical health,
Mm.
but it's
Mm.
about, how the World Health Organization defines health. It's not just physical health, but it's
Mm.
mental health. Yeah,
Oh,
and it's
yes,
about
yes.
emotion, those things.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Mm.
it's a
And as
more
you,
holistic.
oh, absolutely, Lucy. And when you said about, you put great, you said, don't forget, it's always the food, the exercise. It's so important because when you're fit physically, it actually really helps your fitness and your well-being mentally, doesn't it?
Mm, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Mm.
and your sleep, of course. Remember, we always
Oh,
come back to sleep. Yeah, but also like as I was saying, and we've seen that, Siane, in our time, it's not just the medical people, professional. It's about all the government sort of departments. It's a civil society, international agencies, you know.
what are we doing?
Yeah. But I think that was the important part we sort of pointed out to our aged population. It's about that being well informed, isn't it? So
Yes.
where does it all come from? It's right down like globally, and it comes down to our local thing. And it's the same like in Tonga, except that they changed that to suit their environment and their
Mm,
culture, all that
mm,
sort of thing.
mm,
Yeah, because you remember, Luciana, it's like it's not just the thing, but it's the non-government agencies as well. They're
mm,
very much part of that aged care
mm.
because I guess it hasn't been that good for them with the COVID. COVID-19 lockdown, because a
Mm.
lot of those agencies depend on volunteers, and people like that. Whereas with the restrictions, they really came down to a very skeleton sort of staff.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's true, Louisa. Because I was talking to some of the support workers, and I was just asking how it's been for
Yeah.
them. Like the community nurses and people who pop in to do, even they say um, therapists who visit people in their homes. And because of the lockdown, they weren't able to do a lot of that, which, as you said, staff then in certain, agencies became just skeleton staff. So a lot more people weren't working. Also, I guess the clients too would miss out on that, on that day-to-day care or week-to-week care. If you're, for instance, when I think about what Siwa likes to have a massage, now and again. So because of the lockdown, we didn't do that. We just said no, no. I actually said no massages. No one's coming here unless they're being doubly vaccinated. So you do. So things changed because of the lockdown, Louisa.
Yeah,
That's a really good point you brought up there.
that's right. And also, Luciana, when we mentioned about aged cares becoming more specialized, even though it's like you need all the other players to be part of the aged care, but it's um oh, now I lost what I was gonna say. Yeah, it's oh, for example, it's very specialized, Luciana. And the most important, some of the things like people have to be informed, well informed, and they make their own decisions now because there's a big population of aged. Um, and it's like, for example, one of the things about, for example, if an old person sort of get an infection or you get sick, for a normal, like a younger person, usually say they might sort of have a temperature, the temperature will be up, and then they have those symptoms. Whereas
Mm,
with an elderly person,
yes.
that sort of the symptoms sort of present in a different way, because of their body, how their body
Mm,
responds. They might
mm,
get a little bit disorientated. Have you seen how I
mm.
get a bit disorientated, Luciana?
Are you talking to me about me? I do. I don't even have to have a temperature,
Yeah.
Louisa.
But see, that's one of no, but even if there's something that something like that has sort of affect your health,
Mm,
it will
mm,
present like differently with an older person. Like,
mm,
yeah, instead of having a temperature, they'll get all disorientated, and
mm,
then you notice it's more their behavior that you can pick
mm.
up, and
That's
you
right.
say, are you all right? Yeah, because you seem to be, for somebody who usually well organized, all of a sudden they lose it,
Yes,
so it does sort of
yes.
present the symptoms comes differently. So
Mm, mm.
I think that is a very important part of aged care.
I think
It's
so. I think so, Louisa. And for support workers and family support, just to realize that things are different for an older person.
yeah,
Sometimes you can be traveling quite well. You can be, on top of the world and on top, facilities are working, memories working, speech is working, you're not forgetting words. And from that to about, on the next breath, you can't remember the words. So I think information, as you said before, is so important, to give to support people and to support workers and
yeah,
even just us, the aged people, that we remember that's just part of aging. That's all it is. It's nothing to be distressed or to be unhappy about. It's just part of aging. That's right. It's true, Louisa.
I see, and that's the little bit of a challenge about the aged population, because a lot of times if they feel like that, Luciana, they might think it's just part of aging. You know, because you know, with the aging process comes the hearing loss. You know, your mental capacity is sort of reduced a bit. So a lot of times you think, oh, I think I'm just getting old. But it could be that something, you know, like you've got an infection, say urine
Yes.
infection, or one of those things that sort of affect the elderly people, which are, and a lot of them, like I mentioned, it's that, you know, non-communicable diseases. You know, and I know Australia's done a lot to help Tonga with those communicable diseases. You know, it's like your blood pressure start to play around, uh, all those other things. You know, the heart problems. It's got something to do with the kidney, but even general things like your appetite, Luciane, doesn't it? Your taste bud sort of diminishes, like reduced, and then your sense of taste is quite different. Things that you used to like when you were younger, you don't sort of really like. And
Dare, you
and
know,
you yeah,
dare I say it, Louisa, maybe that will happen to me soon, but I must tell you that my sense of taste, I think if anything is still intact, it's my sense of taste. The hearing is going, but my sense of taste is still there. So I guess that's still okay. But, I was thinking, Louisa, when you're talking about some of the things for us to be aware of, I know that when I go and visit my specialist, especially, to do with the lupus and the rheumatoid, she will say, look, are you experiencing this? And she said, I want you to tell me anything new that's happening, because don't ever think that it's nothing. Don't ever think that it's nothing to worry about. That's my job to decide whether it's anything to worry about or not. And because sometimes you think, oh, I don't want to ask that because it sounds silly. Don't ever think that a question is silly to your health practitioner. If something is sort of keeping you awake, or you're just thinking, oh, I'm not, as you said, I haven't been feeling like eating for the last week or so, make sure you tell your health practitioner, or tell your nurse, community nurse, or tell someone anyway, your support person, because it could be something else that your doctor needs to be looking at. You're right. There are little things that pop up that we need to take good notice of, and it's just about keeping our health intact and staying healthy as
yeah.
as as
And
much
plus,
as
that's why
possible.
it's so important. Yeah,
Mm,
and it's so important that we yeah. And also, like when you think about medications, by the time you get to 65, Luciane, most of us, majority of us, are on some sort of medications, you know, either for high blood pressure, or, you know, some other heart problems, or diabetes, you know, diabetes too. You know, all those things sort of starts because, like what we were saying about our immune system, when we get to that age, it starts to sort of slow down.
mm, mm.
Yeah, and that's why we sort of have to be more careful. um,
Yes.
and that's why, remember, at the hospital they do have a their own assessment
Mm,
team
mm.
for the aged. Yeah, because and then they look at their medications. Some of them would have been on the same medication for years, you
Yes.
know, and even though they have blood tests and stuff like that, but the symptoms are different in an older person. And
Mm,
that's why it's a very specialized section now at the hospital. It's a big, huge one
mm,
because they
mm.
do the assessment and then they look at all how your medications sort of work in your older body,
Yes.
because it
Yes.
doesn't always work the same.
No, as we know, Louisa, and I think that medication, that's a really important part of
Mm.
our maintaining our well care and our well-being, because I know with me, I just had an assessment not long ago, and my specialist first looked at it and decided to change some of my medication because she felt that I was no longer able to, I don't know, process or digest that medication.
Mhm.
So she changed it for something a lot more, I guess a lot more
Yeah,
in tune with
appropriate
my
for
age.
you. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
yes. And she said it's really, really important because she was saying about your digestive system is different,
mm,
as you get older. And, sometimes you're not able to process that medication that you've been on for the last 20 years. So I was just
yeah,
thinking, you're so right. That is so
exactly.
important. Yes, yes, for our maintaining our well-being and health. Louisa, I just want to tell you to let you know that
And
we've got a few minutes left. So if you can keep that in mind as you recap and continue to talk about what we need to talk about today.
yeah. And I think, Luciana, I just sort of want to remind our older,
Mm,
that population that we've been focusing on,
mm,
the reason why we like them to be well informed, so that they're more aware and can look after themselves, but also because the whole government, will change. Like they change the law, they change the physical community things. And also, they do rely on the great power. Remember the great power, Luciana? The
yes.
old people, they are the agent of change for their own health. So
Mm,
that's why it's
mm,
so important that they're so well informed, you
mm,
know, about
yes.
their own health, yeah, and the health system and why they do things as they are, because they're
Mm,
the only ones who can make the change,
that's right.
and I know great power is very strong in
Yes.
Australia because the larger population.
Mm, mm, absolutely. And I think
Yeah,
it also with the ability to still make decisions for yourself or for your husband or partner or wife, I think that gives you a lot more, it gives you the ability and you feel a lot happier when you're able to make decisions to do with yourself and with your care, because we know that as we
yeah.
age,
You are
you
in
would you
control.
would lose, yeah, you
Yeah,
would lose that
yeah.
ability as time goes on. But as
Mm.
long as you can maintain that ability to make choices for yourself or for you people that you love, I think I think that's important.
Yeah, and that's why it's so important because as you age more and more, it's a different sort of care that you're after,
Mm,
even right down
yeah,
to being in the nursing homes, all that sort of
yeah,
things. But it's about having a say in the government and the policymakers
mm,
on how to improve facilities,
yes,
services, and the law, with regard, and also like the finance, like you
mm,
talk about things like pensions,
yes,
that you rely on, yeah, for
mm,
to pay
yes,
your bills for your health care.
yeah,
And also, Luciana, we still go back to the healthy aging strategy.
mm,
It's about the regular physical activities, remember? It's not just for your to maintain your being ambulant, and you can do your own like daily activities of life, but it's about other things, like your heart. It's about, it's better for your mental health because it keep you awake. And also we spoke about the diet and the taste, different taste, that sort of thing, and things that are more useful for the aged, like the 5 groups of food, because we follow that in Australia and worldwide. Uh,
Louisa, Louisa, is chocolate a part of the 5 food groups?
that's a treat. We go back to like the kids. You know how the kids get their
Yes,
special treat? Us, we can give ourselves our little treat. You see,
yes,
that's part
yes,
of it because we still need to be happy,
we
and it's
do.
about yeah,
So
and it's
a
about
nice piece of dark chocolate and a nice glass of wine is very good for
oh yes,
well-being, mental health. Yes.
exactly. But it just being careful that everything in
Moderation.
moderation. Thank you,
Yes.
Luciane.
Yes.
Yeah, because that covers the alcohol as well. If
Yes.
you're having your little bread, yeah, it's about being in moderation, and also it's about just a diet, all of that, and it's about social contact. You know how you have your social
Mm.
relationship, like this
Oh,
part of the
absolutely.
community. Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's one of the impacts on the older people, older, population like us, is during the lockdown, I just missed my family terribly because they were very obedient to the directions of ACT Health, so they didn't come.
yeah,
The children didn't come, the grandchildren didn't come, and Louisa, that was really difficult, for us, and I know it was for you too. So I guess it's for us to just be aware that it's a little bit different at the moment and now because we never know whether there's going to be a lockdown or a breakout with COVID. So just to prepare ourselves that things like
mm,
that might happen, but there are other ways to communicate with our families anyway.
exactly. And
Mm,
I think we're pretty savvy with like FaceTime
yes.
and and all those electronic stuff. I think we can
Mm,
manage all that. And
mm,
that sort of prevents us from getting isolated and, you know, socially isolated
yes.
because we can
Yes.
still do that like once a week
Mm,
or, we've got our younger generations to sort of do that.
yes.
Yeah. And I think it should be education for the carers, for the aged, make
Oh,
sure that they do
yes.
understand all those things.
Mm, mm,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And it's about,
That is really
yeah,
important. That people
because we
around,
can get
yeah,
straight, yeah.
yes, yes. You know, you
It's
it
about,
any and it's about the the quality of care, offered by
exactly.
your carer or your family or services that are, in contact with you, and always to make sure that there's help and support here, especially here in Australia, and I know with other countries too, that there is someone you can ring just to ask a
And we,
question.
and yeah, and Luciane, if I can just interrupt, sorry about that. But it's about uh, how they value our input
Mm,
into our society still,
yes, oh,
because
true.
it's about all the researches and everything that our younger people sort of use. But we've got the local knowledge, and it's about our experience,
Mm,
that
mm,
we can still contribute to our society. And so
mm,
hang around the library,
mm,
have your daily walk, make sure you have your enough sleep.
yes.
I know you need more sleep, Luciana, than I do, but
I do like my sleep. But there's do those
yeah,
activities that make you smile. There's the art gallery here in Canberra. There's the art gallery, the museum. Just
that's right.
walking around the lake. Is sometimes just
Yeah,
going walking with my daughter is I just really
in the
enjoy that.
space. That's right. Yeah,
Yes, yes, Louisa. But
yeah.
Louisa, thank you so much
That's
for
it. I
another
think that's
wonderfully informative
yeah.
program. Was there anything you'd like to finish off with?
No, I think we've said what we wanted to cover. It's
Mm,
just reminding the carers of the aged people that we need to be informed as well so that we can still make the decisions about our health care.
yes.
But we don't just need the medical one, we need everything else out there. And we want to have the say in how our care will be done.
Oh, yes.
Our
Mm,
voices are
mm,
very important and it
yeah.
has to be loud and clear, isn't it, Luciana? Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Louisa. Louisa, thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in and watching and listening to Louisa. Now, again, I want to thank her for another very informative program. And we do try with Women in Dialogue to bring up, important issues to chat about and to talk about. And we welcome your feedback. Please,
Mm.
if you need to ask Louisa a question, do
That's right.
so.
Yes.
Yeah, do
We
so on the
really
Facebook.
welcome, yeah, the
Absolutely,
feedback.
absolutely. Yes,
And
yes,
and even it doesn't have to be positive. The negative one would be very useful for us because that will only help for us to sort of bring out the information that might be relevant to their individual like
Yes,
interests.
and I think,
Yeah,
Louisa,
yeah,
I believe in, having works critiqued. And, and to criticize is a lot different for me. To critique a work is just saying, maybe you can talk about this. There's positive and negative connotations with those too. So we're very
constructive
happy for
feedback.
feedback. You can critique our program as
Yeah,
much as you want. We're happy to listen. And
yeah,
as because we are part of the older generation, we're quite happy to talk about anything that, you know, any information or whatever. So if you need Louisa to run another program or something, or give us some ideas of what to talk about next, feel free
I
to
think
do
we've
that.
done it all, Luciane.
Yeah.
We've done the whole lifespan.
Oh gosh, yes, yes.
And
So,
women's movement and all those
oh,
legal
true.
stuff.
And I know,
Yeah.
Louisa, that you never run out of things to talk about. So we'll wait until we're back next Saturday, same time. And Louisa, I just
All
want
right.
to say that after our program, when we finish off here, New Zealand is calling. So Aotearoa is calling to come online. That's Professor Sedaleki Finau is going to
Now
come through.
I'm really sorry that we didn't get to do the Tongan version because I wanted to use the Tongan translation of Healthy Aging, the one that Professor Stalekifi now suggested.
Right, which
You
is
know, which is uh, the healthy aging is like hoholo peka gay for ilolepe.
iwi toat.
That's what that's what Professor Stalekifi now sort of suggested.
I
And
really,
and that's
Louisa, I really like that. I really,
yeah,
really like that.
it's
So
very
again,
positive, isn't it?
i o koia, hoholo
Very
peka
positive
kei,
outlook.
So repeat.
Kake
io,
kake lolepe.
see, oh, aya ko tau aya, Louisa, we're going to take that title on. Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Thank
You
you.
know,
Yeah, well thank the Professor Finau for that
yes.
suggestion.
I'll have to
Very
pass it on
positive.
to our Professor Lafitani to pass on to Professor Finau when they chat that we're extremely happy with the new Tongan name for for
Yeah.
people like us. Hoholo peka ke
Keeps
lole.
us smiling.
Ua,
Yeah.
mata no he ua.
Malo
Sorry?
pito. Yeah.
Ua ko. Mata no he ua.
Iyo. Just to tell people to at 2 o'clock this afternoon, Professor Fina will be coming through live from Aotearoa to talk with Sosio
Oh,
Lafitani.
that is
So
excited. Yeah.
go and get something to
Something
eat
to look
quickly.
forward to.
Yes, and then sit down and watch the next our multimedia program this afternoon. Malo Alpito Luisa, Ofalahi
Malo
Atakakoa.
pito. O pat
Yes.
ke kau tau reke reka ko tau apelu si
Oh,
ane. Yes.
absolutely. Ofalahi Atakakao Leka Leka Kotope. Anywhere.
Yeah.
Anywhere, and especially ka pa mo me mai ki po kalama o whalaia ka mo fofonga malo.
Yeah. Malo pito. Yeah.